One thing I have noticed on my pages, as I give people the freedom and the space to talk about things, we have been talking about going no contact. We've talked about childhood situations that have led people to certain um, behaviors. I'm talking about it all. And people jump on my posts and they're like, but generational trauma is a cycle. I get it. I also get that we act a certain way as we live because of things that we've gone through in our childhood. But the only way to get to healing is to talk about it. So I used to be a personal trainer. And when I was a personal trainer, I thought that you just give people exercise routines, you tell them what to eat, and then they just fix things. But you really have to understand that sometimes people's behaviors are a reflection of how they were raised. Some people overeat because of childhood trauma. Some people are just trying to heal themselves, or they only found comfort in food. Some people have risky behaviors or practice risky, do things because of trying to mask or trying to just dull the pain of things that they went through in their lifetime. Sometimes people do things because they're under stress. They stress eat, or they stress drink, or they use other medicinal things to dull the pain. And so once I like really started to talk to people, personal training became more of a customer service type of thing, where you're not just talking to people. You have to dig like 4 to 5 layers underneath to figure out why this person is overeating, or why this person can't stick to a schedule, or how they got to this place to begin with. It's not simply, here, do 3 sets of this, do these 4 exercises on Tuesday. It's not that. It is, how did you get to this place? Because if you don't understand how they got to that place, you cannot prescribe something. And so I learned early on that health and wellness is bigger than just, diet and exercise. It's much bigger than that. And so that is the reason why I'm having these conversations, because, people do cut off toxic or what they perceived as abusive family members. You see the end result. You don't see the 4 to 5 layers of things that happen to cause that. There were 10 years of things that happened before that person just cut somebody off. And so with my spaces, I'm giving people the bandwidth to speak about things. Yes, people, I understand you're supposed to honor your parents. I get it. You're going to say that. You say it all the time. I get it. But we're not going to continue to do that if that parent hasn't honored you, if that person has harmed you. But by the same token, yes, if you have asked your mother, why are you doing this? Or if you've talked to your father and you say, I felt this way when you did this, and they have not acknowledged the harm, then that is when you can just walk away to try to preserve some of your mental and physical and emotional well-being. Anyways, I have 2 videos that I am piecing together my thoughts. I watched Encanto with my daughter yesterday, and we're having this conversation about going no contact. And I want you guys to jump into the conversation. Let's continue to have this conversation, because I believe that we can maybe try to help people that are willing to listen and understand how we got to this place, because we have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere with this conversation. So watch the videos. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to watch Encanto with my daughter. I've watched Encanto before. This is not the first time I watched it, but yesterday I watched it with different eyes and really absorbed a lot of the story and what was going on, especially with some of the conversations about healing and going no contact with the parents and secrets within family. Also, when a 6-year-old asks questions like, why is she treating her that way? Or why would a sister say that she hates her sister? it gives you a different perspective of Encanto. So, the movie has been out, so it's not like this is going to be a spoiler. But there's a grandmother, an abuela, and what the grandmother went through as a young mom, where she lost her husband, that was traumatic, because not only did she lose her husband, she lost her husband in a traumatic way. And then she had to reconstruct her family. She had to reconfigure, get back, just do what she had to do for her family. Now, that was traumatizing in itself. She did what she had to do, and because of that, she became controlling, and what some probably would have said, cold. Now, during the course of this story, the granddaughter, Maribel, she had visions. She could see things, but grandmother shut it down because she didn't want these secrets or these visions to come to fruition. So instead of cultivating the gift with the granddaughter, or instead of talking about the trauma and how she became the woman she is, I'm talking about the abuela, she just was who she is. She was controlling. She wanted one of the granddaughters to be extra perfect. One of the other granddaughters was so strong, and she was afraid to let people down. Everybody was hyper focused on perfecting their gifts. Now, this is something that could happen when there are secrets. When there are secrets and people don't know why you are acting like that, why are you so cold? They try to be people pleasers. They wanted to please their grandmother. And so this is the reason why secrets can continue the cycle of trauma. Because if you tell somebody, I am like this because this is what happened to me, there could be some sympathy, some empathy to your situation. And this is the first step to squashing generational curses. There's going to be more on this conversation. I want to connect that Encanto post with this comment, because we have been talking about going no contact, or how do you deal with parents that might have abused you or abandoned you. How do you deal with that? So this comment, I just want to read it. She was talking about going no contact. It could be a two-way street. If we normalize going no contact with our parents, we have to expect our own children would have no reservations in doing that to us in the future, for much less. I'm speaking from experience. I had to physically remove myself from my own mentally ill mother, and now my own daughter has done it to me. In other words, I'm afraid that I have simply modeled abandonment behavior into my daughter. I've never told my kids how bad my childhood was, as I didn't want to burden them. My daughter has dismissed me because she has no respect for rules. I don't know, family and community is very fragile as it is. Cutting people out of your life can bite you on the butt in ways you didn't expect. I'm not dismissing anybody else's story, by the way. This is powerful to me. This is powerful because this woman clearly has been through some things. Needing to cut your mother off because she was mentally ill is a protection for your own mental well-being. And so she didn't go into what she has experienced throughout her childhood or growing up with a mother like that. But I'm sure that I am not the one to dismiss people's situations or experiences. I don't do that. So I am going to assume that her experiences are valid. Now, she went through some things, and instead of telling her kids, she thought that telling her kids would be a burden, but telling her kids may have garnered some empathy from her children. Trying to protect your children by hiding things from them does not protect them. All it does is make questions like, why is my mother treating me this way? Or why is my mother acting this way? How can she be so cold to my grandmother? My grandmother was always such a nice person to me. So what she is modeling is secrets. And so now her daughter is doing the same thing. And this person is not understanding that being open and honest about your situation could create like, oh my God, my mother went through this. This is why she was behaving like that towards me. And so I think that family secrets, exposing, talking about, is the first step to healing. But that is my conversation and my thinking. You guys can go ahead and jump in the comments section and let me know what you think.